Welcome to Heritage Stories and Performing Arts. I'm Sarita Nair, founder of HSPA, और आप देख रहे हैं इतिहास के पन्नों से. Today, Friday, the first Friday of August, is very special for us because we began our journey in the month of August 2020, the first Friday, with Itihaas Ke Pannon Se, where we bring to you stories of unsung heroes from different parts of India. That's right, we have completed a year of these stories which we bring to you from different states. Stories of unsung heroes. So far, we have spoken and shared stories of 38 unsung heroes. What a journey it has been. Thank you all for being a part of this journey with me. कुछ दिनों से मेरे जहन में एक बात थी और उस दिन पूनम जी ने ग्रुप में एक शेर या पोयम शेयर किया था, which is by Majroon Sultanpuri, and I felt these words are exactly what I am feeling right now. Let me share that poem with you all. It goes like this. मैं अकेला ही चला था जाने बे मंजिल मगर, मैं अकेला ही चला था जाने बे मंजिल मगर, लोग साथ आते गए और कारवा बनता गया. And that's exactly what happened. Because when I started this, I started walking on this path. And I'm sure a lot of you who were there with me at that time, none of us knew that this is the journey that we are embarking on. And I hope and wish with all your blessings and support, we continue this journey for a long, long time. As I looked at all these stories, 38 stories of unsung heroes, from different parts of India, different age groups, different economic backgrounds and gender, there's this one common thread that connects all of them. That common thread for me was their purpose in life that they identified, irrespective of their age, the purpose of doing something for their country, for the freedom struggle. And that's what connected them. Each of them did something in their individual space. उन्होंने ये नहीं सोचा कि उनको बदले में क्या मिलेगा. They had no thought of what's in it for me. It was just giving. It was about doing. And that's the power of an individual effort or step, which led to a collective consciousness, an elevated consciousness, which led to a revolution, which led to freedom. Isn't that amazing? What an individual can do and how it can raise and elevate a community. We have seen that here during these times as well, during the times of COVID. Many people, irrespective of what they were going through, did whatever they could for others. That's the power of an individual action, where they don't think, what's in it for me? Mujhe kya milega? Wow. And with that thought, leaving you with that thought, I would like to open our first anniversary celebrations. And for that, I'm blessed and honored to have two esteemed guests with us, along with all of my friends who are here to support me today. I have with me my guru who taught me storytelling, Srimati Guru Geeta Ramanjuam ma'am. And I also have with me Srimati Guru Rekha Rajan ma'am. And with that, I request Geeta ma'am to please join us. And thank you, ma'am. Please do the honors of lighting the lamp. And
thank you so much, Sarita. First of all, I want to wish you all the best. And I think you've been on a wonderful journey. And I'm honored. I think I'll light the lamp and then I'll come on screen. So I can think of from darkness to light. So Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So here we go. I hope you can all see it.
Yes, ma'am. And we are sending out prayers to all of you who need it right now, everywhere in the world. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm wishing you all the best again, Sarita. You deserve the best, and I may your journey continue. And dhanyavad. And to all those who are present here, wishing you all the best. Thank you. Yeah.
And we will come back to Geeta ma'am. And with that, I would like to invite Rekha ma'am. Please join us and invoke Lord Ganesha here to bless the evening on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se.
प्रथम सुमर श्री गणेश गौरी सुत प्रिय महेश प्रथम सुमर श्री गणेश गौरी सुत प्रिय महेश सकल विघ्न भय कलेश दूर से निवारे सकल विघ्न भय कलेश दूर से निवारे प्रथम सुमर श्री गणेशा लंबोदर भुज विशाल कर त्रिशूल चंद्रवाल लंबोदर भुज विशाल कर त्रिशूल चंद्रवाल शोभित गल पुष्पमाल रत्नवसन जाकुवेशा शोभित गल पुष्पमाल रत्नवसन जाकुवेशा प्रथम सुमर श्री गणेश गौरी सुत प्रिय महेश सकल विघ्न भय कलेश दूर से निवारे प्रथम सुमर श्री गणेशा
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for singing and blessing this evening. Okay. And I'll just like to share a little bit about Rekha ma'am. Rekha ma'am is a Carnatic classical teacher. She has learned music from her guru and mother, the late Srimati Radhakrishna, who was a disciple of Sri Tirumalacharya, a doyen of Alattur tradition. Her mother refined her musical prowess under stalwarts like Ariyakudi, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, ma'am, Ramanuja Iyengar and Madurai Mani Iyer. Rekha ma'am made her musical debut at the age of 5, and since then she has been a regular performer at temples, college festivals, cultural institutions, radio stations, and various national and international events. She has also been conducting the Tyagaraja Utsavam in Delhi with her mother over the past 30 years and continues the tradition in Mumbai. After holding numerous managerial positions in the corporate world, she relinquished her post as the CFO of a telecom giant to pursue her first love, music. Rekha ma'am is also an accomplished Bharatanatyam dancer and has trained under Sonal Mansingh and Leela Samson. A cost accountant by profession, a mountain trekker by passion, an avid yoga practitioner, a cultural arts performer. Teacher, Rekha ma'am carries on the family tradition of imparting the Alattur tradition of music to the next generation in Mumbai. Thank you so much, Rekha ma'am. for being here with us. Would you like to say something?
Yes, I wish you all the best. A very happy birthday to Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. I think it's been a great journey for you, and it's a great platform that you started last year in these times. It's opened the minds of so many youngsters, and people have come to know about so very many people who have contributed to our freedom struggle, and especially those who have not been really mentioned anywhere. So it's really very lovely, journey and a lovely work that you are doing. And I wish you continue this journey and impart this knowledge to a lot of youngsters.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your
God bless you.
Thank you for coming. And with that, I would like to go back to Geeta, ma'am. Ma'am, may I invite you to come back? Thank you for joining us back. And I would like to say a few words about Geeta, ma'am, and introduce her. Geeta Ramanjuam, ma'am, is an internationally renowned storyteller, master trainer, educator, and academician. She founded Kathalaya's International Academy of Storytelling in 1998 in Bangalore, the only credible and globally recognized academy for storytelling in the world, with affiliations to USA, Scotland, and Sweden. Geeta ma'am is an Ashoka Fellow and has widely traveled to 43 countries and 27 states in India to establish storytelling as a tool of learning and also to set up centers. Ma'am has also performed and trained people at the Scottish Storytelling Centre, UK, Norway, Germany, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, South Africa, Austria, Greece, Istanbul, Thailand, Japan, Sweden, Poland, USA, Sri Lanka, and recently, okay, ma'am, you have to pronounce this, Bocaduco Festival at Brazil. Geeta ma'am is also the Indian coordinator for the International Storytelling Network, RIC, besides being the Indian coordinator of the Indian Storytelling Network. Geeta ma'am has several awards to her credit, including the recent International Award for Best Storyteller at the Bocadu Storytelling Festival in Brazil, and Governor's Award in Tamil Nadu for the Best Story Narrator. She was also recognized and mentioned by Prime Minister Modi ji in Mann Ki Baat program. So welcome, ma'am, on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarita. It was like an extension of history when you read out my CV. Anyway, I'm glad, and what an honor it is. What a pleasure. I'm deeply touched because I think the topic itself of struggle and freedom and independence is so close to our hearts at the moment. It's not only the struggle for freedom, but the struggle for freedom now during the COVID times. I think one knows what freedom means, and one knows what we mean to struggle for freedom, right? So I'm glad that, I'm here, and without wasting much time, I thought if I had time, I would start. I often do that with a very personal anecdote. Because I think what is closest to your heart is someone who has struggled for freedom very close in your family or your friend. I was born on October 24th, 1956, which was also the year when Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit became the first president of the United Nations organizations, which was formed in the same year. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit was also very close to my father, in the sense of they wrote beautiful letters, of which I will talk definitely later. And I wanted to talk a little more about an ancient knowledge system, simple thing as a letter. And these letters that were written behind the prison walls. But as I said, I'm going to start because I used to get beautiful letters from my friend who was a college mate of mine. Her name was Vinita. Her name was Vinita Vajpayam. And she belonged to a very good family, very traditional family, I would say. And for her times, she was much ahead of her time. A very strong woman and a great supporter for a lot of things when I was struggling in my life. I think she gave me that lift. So I also want to talk about her parents. Of course, I didn't meet her mother because she had already passed away. So this was a time, freedom struggle, and Bharat Mata ki jai, Bharat Mata, Gandhi ji ki jai, Gandhi ji ki jai, and there were marches along the roads. And this was also the time when women were still cooking at home, looking after traditional, conservative, patriarchal families. And so there was this husband and wife, and her name was Renuka. She also had another name called Sita. And her husband, I don't want to mention his name. I would have named him Ravan, but it's okay. So he was this monster who would come and, beat up the wife and bring his friends home. And he was very fond of horse racing, gambling, and tick of all the vices in the world. And it's all combined, packaged in one. And so this was the husband. And so the wife, she was quite timid, not because she was timid in the sense of, she was not reactionary, because she found there's no point in wasting her energy retorting to this man who was a beast. Like all Indian traditional families, as soon as you get married, they had a kid, and this was a daughter, and she had this baby. And because of the baby, she couldn't leave the husband, and she was at home cooking for his friends, cleaning up the mess after the drinks, also pawning her jewels so that he could go and play at the gambling. So it so happened that as she was cooking, her window was very close to the road in which the marches were going on. So Bharat Mata ki jai and all that. So amongst them, there was one man who often used to look at her while marching, and it was the same march every day. And somehow she wanted someone who would listen to her. And it was also a time when her parents were not very supportive. She could not go back to tell her parents anything. So out of the window, he would come and ask what's the matter. Sometimes she would say, sometimes he just passed because she was scared that her husband would come home. So this happened for some time, when one day the husband was so drunk that he beat her up, and she was in bruises, and the child was crying. All the friends had left. And it was at the spur of the moment. She just, in those days, you had what we call veragadappu, which is the firewood stove. So she picked up one log, and this man had passed out because of the drinks, and one whack at the back. Of course, not with the fire, but the wood served the purpose. He just fell down like unconscious. She made sure that he lost his consciousness. She took this baby and she ran out just as the march was going on. And there she joined this man who said, join me in the struggle for independence. We're all marching towards Gandhiji's path. So there she joined the march. And of course, in those days, all marches were not successful. People would be arrested. So both were arrested. And he said, she's with me. And they both were put in the same cell. So the love grew behind the prison bars. And they decided that when they were free, they're going to be together. And so they were released a year and a half later. And by the time the kid was also grown up, and when they came out together, they had 8 children. And my friend, Vinuta, was the 5th daughter. Now, I don't even know if they married. They had 8 kids, and they lived happily together ever after. And they also named all their children Gandhi, Nehru, Tilak, Vallabhai. So that is a story. And I could see it in my friend who had the strong face, the strong support. And I know that they are not just passing the zest for life and to have freedom, but she had passed on the gene of being strong. She was a very strong woman who could help others. So we don't just pass on material and property to our children. I think these are the tenets that you pass on to your coming generation, right? And I thought that consciousness is not there now, probably in India. You know, that consciousness, this, what do you say, I don't know what to call it, not global consciousness, but this Indian patriotic consciousness that people had at that moment, because everyone used to think of freedom. So coming to that, some of these stories that she actually didn't tell me, because she was in a different state in Hyderabad, and she wrote to me.
Okay.
And those letters I treasure, because unfortunately, she died. And what remains with me is her handwriting and her letters. I can smell her through the writing. And I think letters are the most beautiful part of touching, knowing, smelling a person. You know, they are the closest encounters for you. And talking about my father's friend, Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, who wrote letters to my father. Unfortunately, now I'm in Orissa, I'm not in Chennai. Otherwise, I would have produced some of those letters.
We have one. We'll share it.
Yeah, I know. So what we can do. So one of the things I wanted to say is these letters that Nehruji wrote to Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit and Nehru wrote to his father, Indira Gandhi, were not like, hi, how are you? I am fine. And so they took care of the handwriting. They took care of the essence. They took care of the content. And they had such clarity of putting the best words in the best order. Imagine what clarity of mind that must have had to put it down in writing when it cannot even be typed and erased and deleted. Clean handwriting, words worth, really. And those which later on a person could publish.
The way it is.
Without editing.
It is.
As it is. So imagine those letters, and then it was not about, oh God, I'm put behind this prison bars, these Englishmen, I'm going to get them after I come out, I'm feeling depressed, nothing of that sort. It was, what do I do next? How do I still work at getting our India freedom? How I could still communicate from within the four walls of the prison. So there was no depression, but there was construction. Beautiful. And there was development, you know. And so when he wrote those letters to Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, and Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit herself, so they were from an affluent family, you know, in those days, even from affluent families, they were just behind bars. And prison was not as beautiful as it is even today. It was terrible. So that was when Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, she writes a few memoirs of her day at prison. So I thought I will just read out one thing about letters, which she had written in one of the letters. Yes.
Another thing?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
It's such a beautiful story behind the prison about your friends' parents. I think it was such a heartwarming story. Yes, here it is, ma'am.
Yeah. So Nayanthara Sehgal is actually the daughter of Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit. And you can get the entire politics, you can get what was the economic situation in India, what was the relationship that a common man had with his people, what was it to be behind bars, and also how we could take India to a better future if it can be done behind the prison walls. I am just wondering what people outside the prison walls today are really doing. Absolutely. You know? And not being able to make decisions in life, not being able to make decisions for the country, and we are struggling. But they had such clarity of thought, they thought of the future generation. So I don't know if I can just read out to you one letter.
Go to the next slide, Anandita, and yeah, if you wish.
Yeah. So I just... I love this. I spent an hour last night. So this is one of the letters she wrote. I spent an hour last night, the letters. Some of them are really beautiful. So she's reading about the letters. Letters are always interesting, especially if they are other people's, isn't it? Like this time I cleaned up my mother's house and I found the letters written by my father to his friend.
Okay.
And that was what aroused my curiosity, because I said, what would he have written to his friend, right? Because he's also no more. So what that creates that curiosity. So Walter has said, the post is the consolation of life, and someone else added, as long as there are postmen, life will have zest. Where do we find the postman now, right? No. There must be very few people who have not, at some period of their lives, recognized the truth of the above sayings. Most of us have waited in breathless suspense for the post, which was to bring the one letter we wanted the most. I had always waited for my husband from Canada to write this. Okay, maybe it was news of a child far away from us, a friend from whom we have been parted, money on which many things depended, or just a love letter. Isn't that beautiful? And I don't think love can ever be expressed in any way except through a letter. I think it's one of the most beautiful things, right? So one of those silly epistles which all lovers write, full of the pleasant nothings which the beloved waits for with so much eagerness, and which he imagines are hers alone. I only love you. You are like the full moon in the night, isn't it? Forgetting that the same words and sentiments have been shared by all lovers since the beginning of time. Okay, I rest here. And one small portion of the next letter that she writes, which is food is an overrated subject. One realizes this most forcibly in jail. It is all right for one if it has pleasant surroundings with the right people and the food is well cooked and well served. It is certainly possible to enjoy a meal in such a setting. But when one has to cook in the most primitive fashion and the heat is making one ill, the rations are mild wet, it is really a doubtful pleasure. I have decided to give it up and shall try to confine myself to just bread and tea. And this one is also very good. Prison tea has to be seen to be delivered. My experience of tea is fairly varied, ranging from the exquisitely perfumed and delicate varieties that Madam Chiang, I think she used to make the tea in their house, sends me to the, Lord of English, which I'm going to skip. But never have I seen or tasted anything like jail tea. I'm convinced it is some special and very deadly variety of leaf grown for the poor unfortunates who are in prison. Not having any tea of my own, I took this decoction once and nearly passed out. It would give me a tremendous thrill if I could make a jail official live for 1 week on jail rations. So, so that's about tea, and I thought I'll stop here because it gives you, it's such a pictorial thing of what behind the prison walls. It's not just letters. It's the whole story of what happens within the walls of the prison. And I also looked up at Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit as a role model because I think she was a very strong woman with very good flair for the language, very strong in her views, but not as deservedly mentioned like Nehruji, because I thought Nehru was a man. And well, that I reserve my comments. I felt Vijaya Lakshmi was really a thing. And so my father, since he was very fond of her inner strength, and he thought a woman should be like her. When I was born, one of the names given to me out of the 3 names was Vijaya Lakshmi.
Okay. Rightly said, when you said about passing strength to our children, I think that's where you also get your strength from, isn't it? From
Absolutely.
father and all the people who have influenced your life. And yeah. And as you were talking about the prison, I couldn't help but draw a parallel between the lives we are leading right now. It's no less than a prison. And it's up to us about how we use that time in this prison, isn't it? About whether we want to crib or we want to do something about it ahead.
Yeah, because I think our homes have become prisons now. And I would say, let's change that. I also recall a very small incident, if I can share. I used to write a lot of articles for the newspapers. And for me, something very attractive was a person who had always struggled for life and come up the hard way. I don't know why it attracted me, but I always used to interview such personalities. And one such instance, I had to go to the Parappana Agrahara, which is in Bangalore, because I used to write for the Deccan Herald and for the Hindu newspapers at one point of time. And I was intrigued when one person from a theatre group called Rangayana, so they do something with storytelling and theatre. So he had come and he wanted to train the convicts, the hardcore convicts behind the prison walls to do a theatre and a storytelling on Shakespeare. So he struggled, he got the permission from the government and he wanted my help for that. At that time, I was not a storyteller, but he said, can you come and help? Now, the first thing that struck me is, kitne aadmi the? Okay, that was what I had of convicts. Kitne aadmi the? I said, oh my God, these convicts, hardcore convicts, and he's going to open the first thing is they're going to do is murder me, right? So here I braved myself and I said, no, I am going to enter, because the person who was with Rangayana, Mahesh, he convinced me that, come on, Geeta, I won't even involve you. You have to know the other side of them. So there I entered the prison walls and I met these 24 convicts and they were like, even more than Gabbar, you know, like, so I said, and some of their voices was, you know, so I said, oh God, what am I going to do? It turned out to be just the opposite. It was a totally opposite kind of thing, because most of them were there for the crimes they had not committed and yet accepting life imprisonment and trying to make the best of their time behind the prison walls. And so I couldn't help. I had tears. I don't cry very often. I hardly cry. That was one of the challenges my husband always had, is that this woman doesn't cry. Okay, so I that day broke down when I heard about their lives, and I said, this patience an ordinary man won't have. Taking the blame, which is not theirs, and trying to still be constructive, and extremely talented. So they wrote the script, they made the mask, they created the stage scenes, and there in town hall, exactly about 3 months down the line, they staged the entire Shakespeare Macbeth. Fantastic. So I was thinking, so I have just one photograph with them, which I will share. Sarita, you can share.
Anandita, thank you so much. Yes, Anandita is my daughter, who is handling the tech support as usual. You will meet her soon. So yes, she's just
figuring out. Those convicts are not allowing her, or what?
Yeah.
I must say, I did keep in touch with the 3 of them.
Okay.
I kept going to the prison.
Okay.
And after I became a storyteller also, I went in. And then I realized the district commissioner of police, fantastic man again. He said, you know, I tell them stories every night of the freedom struggle before they go to sleep and before I switch off the lights.
Wow. That's
so many, yeah. What a fantastic thing to do to calm the heart of, to bring peace, you know. So it was a wonderful relationship.
There is some problem. Anandita, this is the picture of ma'am with yes. Thank you so much. Did you find it? Yeah. So I will share that later.
I have it on my phone. I could show it on the screen if you can see.
Okay, ma'am, it is also shared in a small film that we are showing in a few minutes. So people can also see it there. I think she's unable to bring it up on her laptop right now due to some, but it is, and yes, you can also show it. I'm so sorry about this.
No problem. I just thought I'll end with that. I hope I'm not taking your time. Yes, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you all can see this.
So we will also share. We'll also show it later. It's there in a AV that we are going to share soon. And I'm sorry about this, but yes, ma'am, thank you for sharing such powerful stories from behind the prison walls, from love to courage to creating theater. So I think that also makes me wonder how the prisoners felt during the freedom struggle behind the prison bars, for being jailed to do something which was their right, freedom. So
yeah, I know. So in fact, some of these convicts' parents had actually also taken part in the freedom struggle, and what pained them is, despite being sincere, they were behind the bars. And also it's an impulsive thought, isn't it? So this behind prison bars was very different from, as you said, the freedom struggle of the people behind the prison bars. I think whether it was Gandhi, Tilak, Nehru, whoever it is, or even Martin Luther King, I think most of them fought and came up with beautiful ideas of independence and freedom. And I thought it had a common consciousness. I don't think we need to have another foreigner to invade us to have this consciousness. I still feel if we could, connect with the same thread, continue with the same thread, it's going to be 75 years of independence. It would be wonderful.
Beautifully, ma'am. Connect to the same thread which has been going on. And I think that's what we all should take away from here. Connect to the same thread of freedom. Do whatever you can. And like I say, dil diya hai, jaan bhi denge. But dil to de do, jaan mat de do. But so thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for helping me to share this, because I wouldn't have shared it in an ordinary storytelling session. It's because it's a connected, associated feeling that I could show off what I've done.
Thank you for sharing a part of your life with us, in fact, a very personal part of your life. And thank you once again for gracing this space. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And with that, wow, I mean, what stories, what personal stories. Kuch problem hai. Sonia, can you take over for a minute? I'll just be back.
Yeah, Sarita. Yeah. I can see Hema doing something very weird. Hema,
सोनिया,
फ्राइडे इवनिंग है यार, क्या कर रहे हो?
मैं ये इतिहास के पन्नों को झाड़ रही हूँ. I just want to take out some history out of that and read up a lot of things. So I'm just dusting all my history books out here and trying to take out some information out of that. And I want to read about history.
अरे यार, अपनी फ्राइडे की शाम क्यों खराब कर रहे हो इस चक्कर में? मतलब किताबों से धूल हटाना जरूरी है, मैं ऐसा नहीं कह रही हूँ, वो किसी आराम से किसी दिन करना. आज शुक्रवार की शाम वैसे ही बहुत खास होती है. 7 बजे हुए हैं, बल्कि 7:30 हैं, तो बहुत खास टाइम होता है शुक्रवार की शाम 7 बजे. तो तुम भूल गई क्या कि इतिहास के पन्नों से HSPA का पेज याद करो, हेरिटेज स्टोरीज, परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट्स, याद करो सरिता नायर, जिसने लास्ट ईयर इसी टाइम के दौरान ये एक बीड़ा उठाया था, एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ली थी कि वो इतिहास में जितने भी हमारे भारत की स्वाधीनता के लिए नायक और नायिकाएं हैं, उन सबकी कहानियां लेकर हमारे सामने आएंगी. जब हमने बात करी थी पिछले साल कि जैसे इमारत बन जाती है तो इमारत के बड़े बड़े स्तंभ और बड़ी बड़ी बिल्डिंग्स दिखती हैं, बट इमारत के नीचे पड़े हुए रोड़ी, पत्थर, कंकड़ तो नहीं दिखाई देते. इसी तरह भारत की आजादी में भी कुछ ऐसे नायक और नायिकाएं थी जिन्होंने हंसते हंसते भारत के लिए अपनी जान दे दी, पर उनकी कहानियां ना जाने या तो धूमिल हो गई या कहाँ खो गई। तो सरिता ने HSPA के थ्रू इतिहास के पन्नों से की एक श्रृंखला शुरू की थी पिछले साल 22 अगस्त को, जिसमें उसने बहुत सारी ऐसी कहानियां और ऐसे किरदार ऑलरेडी वो बना चुकी हैं। तो इसलिए अब आप ये धूल मत साफ करो, अभी आप याद करो वो जमाना, वो पिछला साल याद करो।
बिल्कुल सही सोनिया. Like Sonia rightly says, Sarita has started such a journey last year. It's almost a year now since she started all these, the stories of these unsung heroes, and where we have come across so many of them whom we have never ever heard about. And I think when we recall and when we go back, Sonia, to the time when the whole thing started, and I remember Sarita telling me that, when the moment she approached people for the storytelling and for the first season, and when she wanted to talk to so many storytellers, and her thing was, what she felt was that the moment she suggested the plan, the moment she said about the idea, everybody accepted it at the first go. And the best thing was, what she always shares is the kind of research that people did to get each and every story out from out there into the world. There were stories which have never been heard of. They were not available in our history books and nowhere available. Like, I'm dusting this, but I don't think I'll find half the stories that I've heard anywhere in the books, because there are so many stories, and the way it has been researched by everybody, and they have come across with such beautiful anecdotes of the lives of these unsung heroes. And there are many instances where she has got the descendants of the freedom fighters on live on show. And there are so many instances, like so many authentic work done, where people have gone and spoken to the language experts, the people who are involved in that community, and what they have heard, and so much of research by each and every storyteller. And I think Sarita has spent hours together with each storyteller to get all that together. I think before the event, I think she spends a lot of time. I think that is something so commendable, Sarita. Amazing, good job. And I think it's really something to be admired. And I think the first season storytellers will remember the kind of
बिल्कुल
technical glitches that we faced.
बिल्कुल उस पे आने से पहले मैं आपकी बात को पकड़ के थोड़ा और एक दो चीजें, इस जर्नी की हम बात कर रहे हैं 1 साल की, तो आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा हेमा कि सरिता ने वो जो हम छुट्टियां मना रहे थे बीच में अपनी कहानी के बाद, हफ्ते दर हफ्ते वो हर हफ्ते एक कहानीकार के साथ उस रिसर्च में जुड़ रही थी। और इस श्रृंखला की मजे की बात मैं आपको ये बताती हूँ कि इसमें देखिए हमने बहुत से कहानीकार, जैसा सरिता ने बताया कि इसमें 38 कहानीकारों ने किरदार की कहानियां करी हैं। तो उन 38 के 38 कहानीकारों ने केवल इंटरनेट से कहानी नहीं उठाई है, लोगों ने हिस्टोरियन से बात की, लोगों ने साहित्य कला अकेडमी में जाकर हिस्ट्री की किताबें उठाकर उसमें से रिसर्च की, और तो और सरिता ने खुद भी बहुत से लोगों तक पहुंचकर बहुत मदद की। मुझे याद है जब मैं अजीजुन भाई की कहानी लिख रही थी तो शायद 7 या 8 पन्ने की कहानी हमने फाड़ दी थी, क्योंकि उसमें मजा नहीं आया हमें एक दूसरे को सुनाकर बात करके, और उसमें कुछ ऐसे शब्द थे जो शायद हम नहीं इस्तेमाल करना चाहते थे। तो फिर जो एक बढ़िया प्रोडक्ट बना, तो उसके बाद वो कहानी जाने कहाँ कहाँ ट्रैवल करी। इसी तरह से आपकी कहानी, मुझे याद है आपने जो उसमें एक पावरफुल सॉन्ग और वो सब यूज किया, इस्तेमाल किया। मुझे लावण्या की कहानी याद है, वेलू नाचियार की, क्या पावरफुल म्यूजिक और बिगिनिंग और एंडिंग थी। तो टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस भी हुए, उसके बारे में अभी हेमा से सुनेंगे जो हमारी मजेदार बातें हुई। पर मैं एक चीज और भी कहना चाहूंगी इस श्रृंखला के बारे में हेमा, कि हमारे ऑडियंस जो यहाँ मौजूद हैं आज और जो इसको बाद में भी सुनेंगे, एक और बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात है इस श्रृंखला की कि इसमें ना सिर्फ कहानीकार थे, बल्कि इस श्रृंखला के जरिए सरिता ने हमें आर्टिस्ट से जुड़वाया। पेंटर्स इस श्रृंखला में आए, हिस्टोरियंस आए, थिएटर आर्टिस्ट आए, डांसर्स आए। मुझे आज भी याद है जब वृशाली ने अपने डांस के जरिए कहानी प्रेजेंट की थी, मुझे अभी भी बात करते हुए गूज़बम्स आ रहे हैं। तो जो उनका वो एक नृत्य का एक बहुत बेहतरीन प्रोग्राम, वो जो एक कहानी थी, वो बहुत मुश्किल है। तो आर्टिस्ट को एक श्रृंखला में जोड़ना और बांध के रखना पूरे 52 हफ्तों तक, दैट्स आई थिंक कमेंडेबल। एंड इतिहास के पन्नों से अब एक ऐसा ब्रांड बन गया है, इसकी अपनी एक इक्विटी बन गई है, और अब हम सबकी एक जिम्मेदारी है, क्योंकि हम इस श्रृंखला के साथ जुड़े हैं। मैं चाहती हूँ कि हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी है कि हम इसको अपने अपने तरीके से आगे बढ़ाएं। तो चलिए हेमा से सुनते हैं कि किस तरह हमने टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस का सामना किया। मुझे याद है वो फर्स्ट सीजन आज भी, और आज हमारे साथ फर्स्ट सीजन के सब कहानीकार है, तो वो सुनकर बहुत याद आएगी उस एपिसोड की।
कैसे उसको लाइव करते हैं, एंड लाइव करते करते एक टाइम तो लाइव हुआ ही नहीं, एंड वी वर जस्ट सिटिंग इन द Zoom room wondering what to do, how do we go live, and what is happening, and how are we going to get into that, and all of us trying with our computers and trying to get into that. But it was a really amazing journey, and I think Sarita is continuing that journey even today with all the storytellers. She spends that same amount of time what she spent in the first season, trying to understand and trying to help out. That is something, to go on continuously week after week after week, and trying to put the show up at that particular time, at that particular evening, and bring something new to the scene is something really amazing. So I think, Sonia, I think we have had 38 stories, if I'm not mistaken, of unsung heroes.
या 52 हफ्ते में कुछ 40-45 एपिसोड्स हुए, जिसमें पॉपुलर डिमांड्स पे कुछ 6-7 स्टोरीज बिटवीन 38 ऐसी कहानियां हैं। क्यों ना हम अपने ऑडियंस को, और जो हमारे साथ अभी नहीं है बाद में देखें, एक छोटी सी स्निपेट, एक झलकी दिखाएं जिसमें उन 38 कहानीकारों के, प्रेजेंटर्स के और 38 किरदारों के नाम हैं। तो आनंदिता, क्या हम वो वीडियो स्निपेट देख सकते हैं?
Yes.
थैंक यू।
my God, that's so overwhelming. The
It
amount
is.
it's so overwhelming. And I think if we have missed any of these stories, I think they're all available on HSPA page, and it's just a click away. And such commendable work. I think so many heroes we have even never heard their name of, and those stories have been told. It's really something, I think, it's just overwhelming. Absolutely. That's the only word I can think of. Yeah.
You're right, you're right. And अभी आपको लगा कि मैं क्यों आपको धूल के लिए मना कर रही थी. धूल साफ कर लेना, मतलब संडे को करना. बट अगर आपको इतिहास की कहानियां अगर आगे पहुंचानी है तो HSPA के पेज से आज की डेट में ऐसा कोई और बढ़िया पेज नहीं है जहां आपको रेडीमेड, मैं कहूंगी पकी पकाई कहानियां मिल जाएंगी 40 के करीब. Before we actually pass the baton to the next presenter, एक बात मैं सरिता जो कि फाउंडर हैं HSPA की, उनके बिहाफ पे कहना चाहूंगी कि हम सब कहानीकार हैं, और क्योंकि ये कंटेंट पूरा YouTube पे लाइव अवेलेबल है और कोई भी इसे देख सकता है क्लिक के बटन पे, सरिता नायर की तरफ से, फाउंडर ऑफ HSPA की तरफ से और इतिहास के पन्नों के साथ जुड़े हुए हर कहानीकार की तरफ से एक ये हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट है कि कोई भी कहानीकार अगर आपको लगता है कि इन कहानियों को इस्तेमाल करना चाहते हैं अगर, या उन्हें देखकर एक इंस्पिरेशन हुई है कि हाँ हम इसकी कहानी, इस किरदार की कहानी किसी और को प्रेजेंट करना चाहते हैं, तो कृपया करके उस कहानी के लिए आप HSPA की फाउंडर सरिता नायर को एक ईमेल जरूर लिखें या एक फोन कॉल जरूर करें और उनकी परमिशन जरूर लें. क्योंकि जैसा हेमा ने बताया और जैसा मैंने बताया कि इस श्रृंखला में जुड़ी हर कहानी के पीछे बहुत रिसर्च और बहुत मेहनत की गई है. तो अगर आप HSPA की फाउंडर से, अगर आप कहानीकार को नहीं भी जानते तो कोई बात नहीं, आप HSPA की फाउंडर सरिता को कॉल कीजिए, ईमेल लिखिए, और जो कहानी आपको इस्तेमाल करनी है आप उनसे उसकी परमिशन लेकर कहीं भी किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे अगर वो कहानी सुनाना चाहते हैं, बेहिचक बेंदास आप सुना सकते हैं. और इसी के साथ मैं और हेमा इजाजत लेंगे. बहुत मजा आया इतिहास के पन्नों की इस एक साल की जर्नी को आपके साथ साझा करते हुए. मैं चाहूंगी कि सरिता अपना कैमरा ऑन करें और प्लीज हमारे साथ आएं और कुछ बातें बताएं हमें. हाउ हैज हर एक्सपीरियंस बीन, उन्हें कैसा लग रहा है आज एक साल पूरा करके. ओवर टू यू सरिता.
Feeling about the journey. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm left speechless. And firstly, thank you both. आपकी नजर से इतिहास का सफर देखना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. और when I sit there with all of you here and watch the entire journey that has been put together so beautifully by Anandita, I am at a loss of words. So I would like to just thank each and every one of you for being a part of this journey, and with your support and love, I hope to take this ahead. We all go ahead together. We have a lot more years, hopefully, to celebrate. Thank you, Anandita, for being a part of this. Ratish, for being a support. To my family and friends, many of them whose names are not mentioned. My parents and all of you friends who have been part of Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. Sonia Bareja, Akshay Gandhi, Hema Subramanian, Lavanya Prasad, Shubha Das, Prishali Patkar, Rajshri Tope, Vikram Sridhar, Seema Vahi Mukherjee, Yogita Bansal, Shri Karuna, Deepa Kiran, Usha Chabraji, Priya Muthukumar, Poonam Joshi ji, Lopamudra Mohanty, Priyanka Chatterjee, Vikramjit Rairu. I'm sorry if I'm missing your names. Vikramjit, Devjani, Rishi Chakrabarti, Subhashish Da, Sameer Khan Sir, Tirtha Bhatt, Rohini Vij, Jyoti Pandeyji, Pragun, Sheetal Sakpal, Mangalam, Preeti Das, entire team of Rangbhumi, Chetna and her team, Devi Datta, Simran, Padma Damodran, Lalita, Nupur, Janki Sabesh, Tanay, Aryan Tendon, and Geeta ma'am. I hope I have not missed anyone. If I have, I'm very sorry. So we have totally gone live 42 weeks, completed 34, brought 34 new stories, had 4 revisits, And that's the journey so far. Thank you also for walking this path with me. And with that, I would like to end this evening by inviting two children to share a patriotic song with us, Sanika Moghi and Anandita. Please join in, and over to you.
ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूं जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूं जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन, तू ही मेरी मंजिल है पहचान तुझी से, तू ही मेरी मंजिल है पहचान तुझी से, पहुँचूं मैं जहाँ भी मेरी बुनियाद रहे तू, पहुँचूं मैं जहाँ भी मेरी बुनियाद रहे तू, ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूं जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन। तुझ पे कोई गम की आँच आने नहीं दूँ, तुझ पे कोई गम की आँच आने नहीं दूँ, कुर्बान मेरी जान तुझ पे शाद रहे तू, कुर्बान मेरी जान तुझ पे शाद रहे तू, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूं जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन, ए वतन मेरे वतन।
Thank you, Sanika and Anandita, for singing this beautiful song and bringing it here for us. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining in. With that, we will bid goodbye to the Facebook Live audience. I just would like to share that as part of our celebrations tomorrow at 11 a.m., we have a program called Yuva Shakti. It's a closed Zoom event. We are asking these children what freedom means to them. And if you're interested and would like to be a part of this event, please do write to me or feel free to call me. And you can join in. This is from 11 a.m. onwards. We also have an initiative going on, which is called the Letters Campaign, Ek Khat Shahidon Ke Naam. So do write a letter and email it to us, a letter to your unsung hero, not the superhero. So looking forward to read from you all. We will showcase those letters on our HSPA page on the 15th of August. And with that, thank you once again for joining. और देखते रहिए इतिहास के पन्नों से, यूं ही सपोर्ट करते रहिए और हम आप तक ले आएंगे कहानियां अलग अलग स्टेट्स ऑफ इंडिया से, अनसंग हीरोज की. And with that, we'll go off Facebook Live. Thank you once again for being a part of this journey with me. God bless.